Guys, in the last session, we started our discussion related to what are the classes that we are going to develop in our application. In the application, we are going to develop multiple classes by following layered architecture. So we will have web layer, service layer, and persistence layer. Now here in the web layer, controllers will be available. Those controllers should communicate with the services. That means controllers are dependent on the services. Services are going to call DAO class methods. So service is dependent on the DAO. One class is dependent on another class in the project. So then one class method should be able to call another class method. If one class method should call the another class method, then we are having two options. One is by using inheritance. Second one is by using composition. Inheritance means directly by extending the properties, we can call the method. Composition means by creating the object, we can call the methods. But if you go for either inheritance or composition, our classes are tightly coupled. If one class is modified, then it will be affecting on the other class functionality. So that's why easier relation and hazier relation are not recommended. If you follow this easier relation or a hazier relation, classes will become tightly coupled. So to avoid this tightly coupling, we should not create the object in the application. So that's why we are going to use Spring Core module. If you use the Spring Core module, then IOC container will take care of object creation. So if IOC container should create the object for our classes, then we need to develop our classes by following some rules. Who provided those rules for us? Those rules provided by strategy design pattern. If you follow the strategy design pattern, then our classes will become loosely coupled. So what are the rules available? What are the rules available in the strategy design pattern? Can you tell me the rules? So the first rule is favor composition over inheritance. When one class wants to talk to another class, blindly don't go for inheritance. Try to create the reference variable to call the methods. Then what is the second rule? What is the second rule? Code with the interfaces instead of implementation classes. That means whenever you are developing the class, directly don't communicate from one class to another class. Go for composition, go for reference variable. Then the classes will become loosely coupled. What is the third principle? What is the third principle? Code should be open for extension and it should be closed for modification so that you can add any new functionality in the project or you can modify existing functionality in the project without affecting other classes, right? So we are able to develop one project. We are able to develop one project by following strategy design pattern. Car class wants to talk to engine class. Car will not talk to engine directly. Car will talk to engine interface. Interface reference variable can hold any implementation class object. Now if you see, I have created one engine interface. In that interface, I have taken one start method. For this engine interface, there are two implementation classes available. One is called petrol engine, another one is called diesel engine. Now when I go for car is my target. Car is my target. Car class will communicate with the engine through interface so that my car class will be loosely coupled. When we have interface reference variable, it can hold any implementation class object. Fine. When the interface is having a reference variable, that interface variable is an instance variable because it is declared inside the class and outside the method. So this is called instance variable. Whenever you create object for the class, instance variable will be initialized with the null value. When it is null value, null dot method, it is going to give null pointer exception. So whenever we call car dot drive method, we are going to get null pointer exception. run as Java application. Now you see we are getting null pointer exception. Why we are getting null pointer exception here? What is the reason for this null pointer exception? The reason, in the car class, engine variable is available. That variable initialized with the null value. So null dot method will give the null pointer exception. Guys, come front. Like there is an issue with the mic. Come front, all of you. Sit in first 3 rows. Right. Whenever I call engine.start method, when I call engine.start method, we are getting a null pointer exception. Now, how to avoid that null pointer exception? How can we avoid this null pointer exception? Come on. We need to initialize this variable. So this is a private variable. Can we initialize from outside? No, we cannot initialize from outside. So to initialize the variable from the outside, we have two options. One is called constructor. One is called constructor. Another one is called setter. So here, if you go for constructor, then that process is called as constructor injection. If you go for setter method, then it is called as a setter injection. Can you tell me what is a constructor injection and what is a setter injection? What is a constructor injection and what is a setter injection? Injecting one class object into another class object is called as constructor injection. Injecting one class object into another class object using constructor is called constructor injection. I'm going to write public car. For the constructor, I'm taking engine as a argument. Now, this dot engine is equal to eng. So when someone create the object for the car class, they need to pass engine object as a parameter. But in our application, what is engine? Engine is a class or engine is a interface. Engine is a interface. So you can pass any implementation class object as a parameter for the constructor. That parameter value we are initializing into current class variable. This is called constructor injection. And the next one, setter injection is available. What is the meaning of setter injection? Come on. Public void set eng, injecting one class object into another class object using setter method. So this is called constructor injection. This is called setter injection. You can go for either constructor injection or you can go for setter injection also. Now here I'm creating the car object. Why it is object creation failing? Which constructor we are calling now? Default constructor we are calling. But in the car class, do we have a default constructor? No, we are having parameterized constructor. So let us pass parameter for the constructor, new petrol engine. So like this, we are injecting petrol engine object into car class so that car class drive method can start the petrol engine. Now you see, petrol engine started, then our journey got started. So similarly, if I go for C dot set engine of diesel engine, so now how many types of injections I am performing? Two types of injections I am performing. One is a constructor injection, another one is setter injection. If you inject one class object into another class object through constructor, this is called constructor injection. If you inject one class object into another class object using setter, then it is called as a setter injection. Now here, before going to drive the car, I'm performing the constructor injection and I'm performing the setter injection. Now tell me which engine will be started for the same variable. Now eng variable I'm initializing with the constructor, same variable I'm initializing with the setter also. Then which engine will be started? Which engine will be started? Petrol engine will start or diesel engine will start? For one variable, I'm doing two initializations. Simple. Let's understand. Here, I'm having a variable integer I is equal to 10. Integer I is equal to 10. So now first we are executing constructor. through constructor, I'm taking I is equal to 20. Constructor is injecting I is equal to 20. Then I will go for setter. By using setter, I'm injecting I is equal to 30. Then if I call system.out.println of I, what value will be printed? 30 will be printed or 20 will be printed? 30 will be printed. Why 30 will be printed? Now you observe. Now you observe. So here, when this constructor injection will happen, when the object is created. When the object is created, constructor injection will happen. So first, it is going to store petrol engine object into eng variable. With this, we are able to perform constructor injection. When the constructor injection is completed, petrol engine object will be stored into eng variable. Immediately after that, we are doing the setter injection also. When the setter injection will happen, before object creation or after object creation? After the object creation, what the setter injection is doing? It is storing diesel engine object into same variable. So that means first constructor injection will happen. It will store petrol engine object into engine variable. Then after setter injection is happening, it is storing diesel engine into the same variable. That means this eng variable will override by this setter method. First we are storing one value, then we are storing another value into the same variable. So finally, which object will be there in this variable? Setter injection object will be available. First constructor injection will happen. It is storing petrol engine. Then setter injection is happening. It is storing diesel engine. When you perform both constructor injection and setter injection for the same variable, remember, first constructor injection will happen, then setter injection will happen. Here, setter injection will override the constructor injection. So finally, which object will be available? Finally, setter injection object will be available. So now tell me, which engine will be started? Petrol engine will start or diesel engine will start? Diesel engine will start. Run as a Java application. Now you see, diesel engine is started. What is the meaning of that? If we perform both the constructor and setter at a time, then what for the same variable, what will happen? Setter injection will override constructor injection. You understand the reason why it is overriding? Sir, here I'm injecting the petrol engine. Here I'm injecting the diesel engine. But what is the order of execution? First constructor will execute. Constructor will store petrol engine into the variable. Then setter injection will happen. It is storing diesel engine into the same variable. Variable is initializing 2 times. Same variable we are initializing 2 times. If I initialize the same variable 2 times, last initialization will be the final value. So I am storing first I is equal to integer I is available. Integer I is equal to 0. Now through constructor I am storing I is equal to 10 using constructor injection. I am storing I is equal to 20 through setter injection. When I print I value, 10 will be printed or 20 will be printed? 20 will be printed. Why? We are overriding the value. Same concept is here also. First constructor injection will happen, then setter injection will happen. When you do both injections for the same variable, setter injection will override the constructor injection. Let's make a note of that. So tell me the concept. If we perform both CI and SI, then what will happen? Can you tell me the answer? If we perform both constructor injection and setter injection, then what will happen? Constructor injection will happen first. CI will happen first at the time of object creation. Then after CI, SI will happen. After CI, SI will happen. So which one will be the final? SI will override CI. That means setter injection will override the constructor injection. So the final value, what is the final value? final value will be SI injected value. SI injected value or SI injected object. In the interview, they may ask this question. I have a variable in the target class. I am injecting one object through constructor injection. I am injecting another object through setter injection. Then what is going to happen? What is going to happen? So first constructor injection will happen, then setter injection will happen. So setter injection value will be the final value. Setter injection will override the constructor injection. Are you guys clear? Now, let's develop one more application by using strategy design pattern. We develop car and engine application by using strategy design pattern. If you see, car class is called as a target class. What is the meaning of target? Which class you want to execute? That class is called as a target. This car is dependent on the engine. So this is the dependent 1 and this is the dependent 2. There are 2 dependent classes are available. But is that car talking to the dependents directly? Car is talking to dependent directly. Car is not talking to dependent directly. Car is not talking to dependent directly, because if a car is directly talking to the dependent, car will become tightly coupled. I want to make my car class as loosely coupled. That's why car class is talking to interface. Interface can have any implementation object. Inside the car class, I have declared a interface variable. That variable I can initialize by using constructor. I can initialize by using setter. But both are required, both are not required. Both are not required. Sometimes we will go with the constructor injection. Sometimes we will go with the setter injection. When to go for constructor, when to go for setter, we will discuss in the upcoming classes. Which is better? Either constructor injection is better or setter injection is better. We will discuss with the IOC container. Are you clear as of now? Here, the process of injecting one class object into another class object is called dependency injection. I want to execute car. If I want to execute the car, I need the engine object in the car class. Now here, by using test class, I'm injecting engine object into car class through constructor. I'm injecting engine object into car class through setter. This process is called as dependency injection. What is this process, guys? This process is called dependency injection. So tomorrow, when we are going to develop a real-time application, a layered architecture application, controller should talk to service. When the controller want to talk to service, what should I do? Service object we need to inject into controller. Service should talk to DAO. DAO object we should inject into service. That is called dependency injection. So can you tell me what is the definition for dependency injection? Come on, guys. What is the definition for dependency injection? The process of injecting dependent object into target object is called as dependency injection. The process of injecting dependent object into target object is called as dependency injection. The process of injecting dependent object into target object is called as dependency injection. So now here engine is dependent for car. If I want to drive the car, engine is required. Engine is dependent for the car. So tomorrow I want to call service method. I want to call the service method. Service is dependent for controller. Controller should call the service. So service object should be injected into controller class. Service should call the DAO. Then what we will say? DAO is dependent. DAO is dependent for service. So we need to perform dependency injection in the project. What is the meaning of dependency injection? The process of injecting one class object into another class object, or we can say the process of injecting dependent object into target object is called as dependency injection. Engine is dependent for the car. Without engine, we cannot drive the car. car is dependent on the engine. Car is dependent on the engine. I can say like this. Car is dependent on engine. That means without engine, car cannot start. Next one, controller should call the service. I can say this. Controller is dependent. Controller is dependent on the service. Service is dependent on the DAO. Service is dependent on DAO. Are you clear? Now, how many ways we can perform this dependency injection? How many ways we can perform dependency injection? We can perform dependency injection. We can perform dependency injection in 3 ways, guys. In general, we can perform in the 3 ways. What are those 3 ways? First one is called as constructor injection. Second one is called as setter injection. Third one is called as field injection. How many ways we can perform dependency injection? Dependency injection we can perform in 3 ways. What are those 3 ways? First one is called constructor injection. Second one is called setter injection. Third one is called as field injection. What is the meaning of field injection? Currently in the car class, what is the type of the variable? Private. Suppose if I remove this private, can I directly inject like this? C dot engine is equal to new petrol engine. Can I initialize the variable like this? Come on, guys. Can I initialize the variable like this? So what type of injection this is called? This is called as field injection. That means one class is dependent on the another class. So dependent object we need to inject into target object. That is called dependency injection. Can you tell me what is the definition for the dependency injection? Come on. What is the dependency injection? The process of injecting dependent object into target object is called as dependency injection. Car is dependent on the engine. Controller is dependent on the service. Service is dependent on the DAO. So here I'm injecting the engine into car through constructor. What is this concept is called? Constructor injection. I'm injecting diesel engine into the car through setter. What is this called? Setter injection. I'm injecting engine into car through direct field. What it is called? It is called field injection. Dependency injection we can perform in the 3 ways. Are you guys clear? Good. Next one. Let's develop requirement. I'm not using Spring now. Just we need to understand how to develop the classes with the loosely coupling by using strategy design pattern. Now, requirement is develop bill payment application using strategy design pattern. Using strategy design pattern. You will go for a restaurant. After your dinner or lunch completed, you need to pay the bill amount. So now there are multiple ways to do the bill payment. You can pay the bill with Google Pay or Phone Pay. UPI payment is possible. Credit card payment is possible. Debit card payment is possible. Cash payment is also possible. They will have one device. So have you been to Apollo medical stall, medical center, medical shop? So if you go for Apollo medical shop, once you purchase the medicine, you need to pay the bill amount. They will give you 4 options. One is you can do the payment by using cash. If you do the payment by using cash, device is not required. Device not required. Directly you can do the payment by using cash. Second option, you can do the payment by using scanner. So in the device, scanner will come. If you scan with Google Pay or Phone Pay, you can do the bill payment. And third option is available. You can do the payment by using debit card. And fourth option is available. You can do the payment by using credit card. Got my point? So you have debit card option, you have credit card option, you have scanner option, and you can do the payment by using cash. Now, I want to develop application for that bill payment. I want to develop the project with loosely coupling. My classes should be loosely coupled, and I need to follow the rules of strategy design pattern. I need to do the bill payment. I need to do the bill payment application. Now see here, in order to do the bill payment, what is the architecture we need to follow with the loosely coupling. First one, I will create one interface, guys. Why we will go for interface? What is the reason for the interface? What is the reason for the interface? Loosely coupled. The reason for the interface is loosely coupled. I payment. In the I payment, I will go for Boolean pay. Boolean pay. It will take some double amount. So I'm taking one interface. Inside that interface, I'm taking one method called pay method. Okay. Now, so pay method is available, or payment process method can be available. So for this method, I'm taking double as a parameter. How much amount you need to pay? I'm taking the double amount as a parameter. What is the return type of the method? Boolean payment. Now here, for this I payment, we can take credit card payment. Credit card payment is one implementation, and similarly, debit card payment will be one implementation. Credit card payment is available and debit card payment is available. Once the interface is available, that interface can be implemented by any number of classes. I payment is one interface. In that I have a method called Boolean pay method. That method taking a parameter as amount, return type as a Boolean, payment status, success or failure, true or false value. Through credit card you can do the payment. Through debit card also you can do the payment. 1 minute. Yep. Debit card payment is possible and credit card payment is also possible. Now, so these are dependent classes. So here I will take one more class called payment processor. What is that? Payment processor class I'm taking. Inside the payment processor class, now I'm going to take one method called payment process payment. I'm taking one method called process payment. For this method, we are going to pass double amount. Now, in order to do the payment processing, we need to talk to credit card object or we need to talk to debit card object. So this is my target class. This is my target class, which is called payment processor. My target class is available, which is payment processor. Now, payment processor is a independent class. Payment processor is a dependent class. My payment processor is dependent or my payment processor is independent? Dependent. It should take either credit card object to do the payment processing or it should take the debit card object to do the payment processing. Now, directly, can I create the object for credit card in the payment processor? What is the problem? Tightly coupling. So now here, instead of creating the object for the dependent classes, what my class will do? My class will talk to interface. What is the advantage? If my class is talking to a interface, loosely coupling, my class will talk to a interface so that my classes will be loosely coupled. So in order to talk to the interface, I need to create a interface reference variable. I payment will be available. Now tell me, my class is talking to another class directly or my class is talking to a interface? My class is talking to another class directly or my class is talking to interface? My class is talking to interface. Now you see, are we following all the three rules of strategy design pattern? What is the first rule? What is the first rule? Favor composition over inheritance. What is the meaning of that? Instead of extending the properties, you go for the reference. Now, here for the interface, I am creating the reference variable. I'm favoring composition over inheritance. Instead of extending the properties, I'm creating a reference variable to initialize the object. What is the second principle? Code to interfaces instead of implementation classes. My target class is directly talking to dependent class or my target class is talking to a interface. My target class is talking to a interface. Second principle also we are following. What is the third principle? Code should be open for extension, should be closed for modification. Tomorrow I will add one more type of card. Tomorrow I will add one more type of card. If I add one more type of card, if I add UPI payment, any problem for the payment processor? So my code is open for extension. You can support for multiple types of the cards. My target will not be affected. Tomorrow, I don't want to support for credit card payment. I will remove the credit card payment object. Is there any effect for the target? No. That means my code is open for extension. My code is closed for modification. So here, if you observe, here I am going to create 3 classes, 1 interface. The classes are loosely coupled. The classes are loosely coupled. Can we develop this application now? Yes, let's start. I'm going to create a second project by using strategy design pattern, file new Java project 02 payment app. Click on next and finish. So with this, our project got created. So what we need to develop first? Guys? We need to create the interface first. So go here, create a interface called new interface iPayment. So whenever a class name, whenever the file name starting with the I, that means it is a interface iPayment. So let me create inside our package iPayment interface. Inside the interface, let me write one method public boolean pay. Okay, next one. Double amount is a parameter. How much amount they need to pay, we are giving as an input for this. It will return true or false value. True means successful payment, false means failure payment. Okay, so we are able to create one interface. For this interface, we can create any number of implementation classes. So I am going to create one class called credit card payment. Creating a class called credit card payment. Now, this class will implement our interface, which is iPayment. Implements iPayment. Override pay method. Override the pay method. Now here we are going to write one SOP statement. Credit card payment in progress. Credit card payment in progress. Then here some logic will be available. Banking application logic to deduct the amount from the credit card. Then we are going to return true. True means successful payment. Next one. Similarly, let us create one more class which is called debit card payment. Debit card payment. This is also implementing one interface. Implements iPayment. Implements iPayment. Override the method. So let us write one SOP statement. System.out.println debit card payment in progress. Debit card payment in progress, and we are going to return true value. So here credit card payment is implementing the interface. Debit card payment also implementing the interface. These are our dependent classes. My dependent classes are ready. Let me call this as dependent 1, or I can say option 1. So this is dependent 2. Dependent 1 and dependent 2. There are 2 classes available. Now these classes I will use to do the payment processing that is available in the payment processor class. What is this payment processor? Can we call payment processor is a target? Yes, payment processor is a target. Now let us create our target class. Let me create a class called target class, that is payment processor. Payment processor. Good. So let's take a method public void process payment. Public void process payment. Okay. Now, in order to do the payment processing, what is required? What is required in order to do the payment processing? What is required in order to do the payment processing? Come on. What is required in order to do the payment processing? Dependent object is required. Can I directly create the object and call the method? I can do that. But recommended or not recommended? Not recommended. We need to take the dependent object through constructor or through setter. So tell me what I need to do to make my class loosely coupled. Look at the diagram. What I need to do to take my class loosely coupled. Come on, guys. I want to call process payment method. Then it should process the payment by using debit card or credit card. I will decide that. Either go with the credit card payment or go with the debit card payment. How my class can do that? How my class can do that? Come on. We need to initialize. We need to initialize dependent object. We need to inject dependent object into target object. What is the dependency injection? Come on. What is the dependency injection? The process of injecting dependent object into target object is called dependency injection. How many ways we can perform dependency injection? 3 ways. What are 3 ways? One is by using constructor injection. Second one is by using setter injection. Third one is by using field injection. Last person. Don't write, sir. I'm sharing the notes now. What is the use? Close your book. You can't concentrate what I am explaining if you are busy in writing. Listen to the class. Okay? Good. So now I want to execute my target class method. In order to execute my target class method, dependent object is required. I need to inject the dependent object into target object. For that, we need to go for dependency injection. Now tell me, how to perform dependency injection with loosely coupling. What code I need to write here so that my class will be loosely coupled and my class can execute as expected. Come on, what code I need to write in the target class? Declare. First we need to declare interface variable. What is our interface? iPayment. What is the interface? iPayment. Now here I will call payment.pay. Whatever the amount we are getting, we are doing that. If pay is true, that means payment.pay, then status. If status is true, then what I will tell? System.out.println payment processing completed. Payment completed. Thank you. Visit again. Something like this. Okay. Now else system.out.println payment failed. Maybe card issue, balance issue, something. Payment got failed. Now you see my class is talking to any implementation class directly. My class is talking to any implementation class directly? No. My class is not talking to any implementation class directly. My class is talking to interface. What is the benefit we are getting if our class is talking to interface? It is loosely coupled. It is loosely coupled. Now, when I create the target class object, when I call this method, what is the output? Simple. Go here, create a test class, new class called test class. I want to call my target class method, main method. What is our target class? Payment processor. Processor is equal to new payment processor. Payment processor is equal to new payment processor. I'm going to call processor dot process payment. For example, some 1250 is the payment amount, bill amount. Now I am calling process payment method. So when I create this object, what will happen? Memory will be allocated for instance variable. It will be initialized with the default value. What is the type of the variable? User defined reference type. It is a reference type. For the reference type, what is the default value? Null value. Then after, I'm going to call process payment method. When I call process payment method, what is the value available in the payment variable? Null value. Null dot method, what will happen? Null dot method, what will happen? Null dot method will give you null pointer exception. Here, we are performing the dependency injection. We are not performing the dependency injection. No, we just developed our target class and dependent class, but there is no dependency injection. How to perform that dependency injection? How to perform the dependency injection? 3 ways available. Now, first I want to go with the constructor. Tell me the logic now. I want to perform constructor injection for the target. How to perform the constructor injection for the target? Come on, make it fast. I need to declare a constructor in the target class. Why we need constructor in the target class? To inject a dependent object into target object through target class constructor. To inject, listen carefully. Now, I have my target class. I have my dependent classes. In order to execute the target, dependent object is required. Okay. I need to inject that a dependent object into target object. For that, we need to go for either constructor or we need to go for setter. If you want to go for constructor injection, target class should contain parameterized constructor. So that we can call the constructor, we can pass the dependent object. That object can be initialized into interface reference variable. Tell me that. How to do that? Public payment processor. What is the parameter? What is this constructor sufficient for dependency injection? No. Why this is not sufficient? It does not have any parameter. I cannot initialize this variable. If I want to initialize this variable, first I need to take that variable. I need to take the object. How to take it? If I take directly credit card payment, what is the problem? What is the problem? Always it will expect credit card payment only. But all customers will have credit card? No, all customers will not have credit card. Some customers will have credit card. Some customers will have debit card. Got my point? So we should not take the implementation class directly. So that's why what I'm going to take now, I'm going to take a interface. What is the advantage with the interface? What is the advantage with the interface? Loosely coupled. It can accept credit card payment. It can accept debit card payment. So now payment object is coming as a parameter. Then what we need to do? This dot payment is equal to payment. So now you see my target class is ready with the parameterized constructor. So we can perform constructor injection. We can perform constructor injection. Go to the test class. Now here I need to create the object for the dependent object. I need to create the object for the dependent object. So I'm taking credit card payment CCD is equal to new credit card payment. This credit card payment object I am passing for the target. What this line number 9 is doing, guys? What we are doing here? Can I say I'm doing setter injection? Can I tell that I'm doing the constructor injection or setter injection? Why we are saying this is a constructor injection? Credit card is a dependent object for the payment processor. That a dependent object we are injecting into target object using a target class constructor. That's why this is called as a constructor injection. Are you clear? Good. Run this. Run as a Java application. Now you see credit card payment is in progress. Payment completed. Thank you. Suppose I don't want to go for credit card payment. I want to go for a debit card payment. Debit card payment here is equal to new debit card payment. Debit card payment, debit is equal to new debit card payment. If I pass debit object as a input, then check this, run as Java application. Am I able to work with debit card payment also? Tomorrow I will add one more card. Tomorrow I will add one more card. In the companies, when you join in the company, company will provide you one card called Sodexo card. Okay. Once you join in the software company, company will give you Sodex card payment, Sodexo. Sodexo card payment also is possible. What is this Sodexo card? This is food card, guys. In the company, canteen will be available. In the company, canteen will be available for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So here, when you are going for company canteen, company will give you Sodexo card. That means they will deduct 2000 rupees or 2200 rupees from your 2000 rupees or 2200 rupees from your account, from your salary. Suppose you are getting 30,000 salary. From that 30,000, they will deduct 2000 rupees and they will add into Sodexo card. Sodexo card is called food coupon card. Now, when you have the food, then you can do the payment by using your Sodexo card in the company. You can do the payment by using Sodexo card. Now here, if I add Sodexo card, if I have the Sodexo card, is there any change required for the target? When I add another card payment in the project, when I'm supporting for another new card payment in the project, any changes required for the target, changes not required for the target, changes required for the target, not required for the target, not required for the target. Why not required for the target? Loosely coupled, because my target class is talking to a interface. Interface reference variable can hold any implementation class object. Can I add new functionality without modifying the existing target class? My code is open for extension. I can add the new functionality without disturbing existing functionality in the project. That is the third principle. What is the meaning of Sodexo card? What is Sodexo? Food card, right? So when you have food in the office canteen or any restaurant, that card you can use to do the bill payment. Monthly they will do 2000 rupees recharge for your card. Company will provide 2000 rupees recharge for your card so that you can do the bill payment when you have the food either in the supermarket. You can do that shopping also with that card. Got it? Fine. Now I want to support for Sodexo card. How to do that? Let me create one more dependent new class, right? Sodexo card payment, right? Sodexo card payment. This also implements iPayment interface, right? Let us override pay method. Sodexo payment in progress. System.out.println Sodexo payment in progress. Sodexo payment in progress. Now let us return true. Okay. So now Sodexo payment is in progress. Now when I go for the test class, here I am having Sodexo payment. Sodexo card payment. SPay is equal to new Sodexo card payment. Now can I inject Sodexo payment through constructor? Come on guys. Can I inject Sodexo payment through constructor? Target. Now run this Java application. Now Sodexo payment is in progress. Payment got completed. So what we are performing now? We have developed one application by using strategy design pattern. What is the benefit if you develop your application like this? What is the benefit we are getting if we develop our application like this? Come on guys. Our classes are loosely coupled. Our classes are loosely coupled. So tomorrow you can add some extra functionality or you can delete some existing functionality without disturbing your target class. So what is the target? What is the dependent in this diagram? Payment processor is a target class. Credit card payment, debit card payment, Sodexo payment, these are dependent classes. Now, we are performing dependency injection. What is the meaning of dependency injection? Injecting one class object into another class object is called as dependency injection. We can say injecting dependent object into target object is called as a dependency injection. How many ways we can perform that? In 3 ways we can perform dependency injection. What are those 3 ways? One is constructor injection, second one is setter injection, third one is field injection. What is the meaning of constructor injection? What is the meaning of constructor injection? Inject a dependent object into target object using target class constructor. So we are injecting dependent object into target object using target class constructor. That is called as constructor injection. Can we do setter injection also? What we need to change here to make the setter injection? Public void set payment. What parameter? Why I need to take iPayment as a parameter? Interface for loosely coupling. this dot payment is equal to payment. This dot payment is equal to payment. So injecting dependent object into target object using target class constructor is called constructor injection. So this one I'm writing for constructor injection. If you want to perform the constructor injection, you will call this constructor. If you want to perform the setter injection, you will call this setter method. Through constructor, I can initialize this variable. Through setter also, I can initialize this variable. If I initialize this variable through constructor, it is called constructor injection. If I initialize with the setter, it is called setter injection. Got it? Now, suppose if I perform both. Suppose if I perform both constructor and setter. So constructor injection I am doing here. Setter injection, processor dot set payment of debit. Processor dot set payment of debit. Now what will happen? Now what will happen? Come on. Which payment will happen in our project now? Credit card payment will happen, or debit card payment will happen, or Sodexo payment will happen? Debit card payment will happen. Why debit card payment will happen? First we are doing the constructor injection, then we are doing the setter injection. So constructor injection will happen at the time of object creation. After the object is created, we are calling the setter method. Constructor injection will store one object into this variable. Then setter injection will reinitialize the same variable. So that means setter injection will override the constructor injection. Which payment will happen now? Debit card payment will happen. Run as Java application. Now you see debit card payment object injected into our target class. Are you guys clear? What is dependency injection? What is constructor injection? What is setter injection? What is loosely coupling? What is the strategy design pattern? Are you clear with these points? Very good. Online students, are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Please change the topic.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are clear with this, right?
Yes,
Who is
Yes,
that
sir.
guy?
yes,
Mr. Anil Kumar. Some freshers also there, man. It is difficult for them to understand what is dependency injection, what is setter, what is constructor. So this is the fundamental concept for the next 4 months of time. If you don't have the clarity on this dependency injection, you can't understand anything in the Spring or Spring Boot. So I want you to make perfect in the dependency injection and all that part. Now let's move on to next one. Here, if you observe our car application or our payment application, we are performing the dependency injection. But if you observe, who is performing dependency injection? Test class is performing. In the test class, who is writing the logic to perform the dependency injection? Who is doing the dependency injection now? If you observe in this application, dependency injection is taken care by programmer. So in this project, dependency injection taken care by programmer. So as a programmer, I am creating the object for the dependent classes. I am creating the object for the target classes. I am injecting the dependent object into target object. So here, programmer is taking care of that dependency injection. Okay, today in our project, 3-4 classes are available. Today we are having 3-4 classes in our project. Tomorrow, when we develop the real application, assume that there are 100 controller classes are available and 50 service classes are available and 200 or 300 DAO classes are available. Now, can you imagine how many places we need to perform the dependency injection? Today, I'm creating the object for the target class. I'm creating the object for the dependent class. I am injecting the dependent object into target object by using constructor or by using setter. Today it is okay because we have 3 classes or 4 classes. But tomorrow, when you go for the real-time project, When you go for the real-time project, is the task is easy? Is the task is easy? No, because controllers should call the services. Services should call the DAO. So we need to create service object. We need to inject into controller, and we need to create DAO object. We need to inject into service. So if you see the layered architecture, you will get the clarity. So request will come to the UI. It will go to the controller. Controller should call the service. That means service object we need to create, and service object we need to inject into controller. Service should call the DAO. We need to create the DAO object. We need to inject into service. So we need to take care of that dependency injection. As a programmer, manually we are creating the objects. We are creating the dependent objects. We are creating the target object. We are injecting the dependent object into target object, either through constructor, either through setter, or directly with the field also. But when you go for Spring Framework, you no need to perform this dependency injection. As of now, as a programmer, we are performing the dependency injection. As a programmer, we are performing the dependency injection. But if you go for the Spring Framework, then we no need to perform the dependency injection, because Spring Framework provided a concept called IOC container. Spring Framework provided a concept called IOC container. IOC stands for inversion of control. What is the full form of IOC, guys? IOC stands for inversion of control. What is the meaning of inversion of control? Inversion of control, nothing but whatever the task that programmer is responsible to perform, that will be taken care by IOC container. You need to create the object. You need to inject the object. That means you are performing dependency injection in the project. Instead of programmer is doing the dependency injection, we can take the help of IOC container. What is the full form of IOC? IOC stands for inversion of control. What we can do by using IOC? IOC will take care of dependency injection. IOC will take care of dependency injection. As a programmer, you no need to create the objects like this. You no need to perform the dependency injection like this. If you go for IOC container, you can remove all these 5 lines of code. So as of now, we are creating object for the dependent object. We are creating the object for the target object. Programmer is performing that. Instead of a programmer is performing the dependency injection, we can take the help of IOC container to perform dependency injection. Are you guys clear? So what is IOC? So let's write a definition for the IOC. IOC is a principle. IOC is a principle which is responsible to manage, and collaborate dependencies among the objects in the application. Okay, in my application, so many classes will be available. For all those classes, we need to create the object, we need to manage the object, we need to collaborate the object. Collaboration means injecting one object into another object. So managing the objects, that means how many objects we need to create for a class. Do we need to create only one object for the class? Do we need to create multiple objects for the class? That also will be managed by IOC container, and IOC container will take care of injecting dependent object into target object. So can you read the definition for the IOC? Come on. What is IOC? IOC is a principle. IOC is a principle which is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects in the application. What is the meaning of managing and collaborating? IOC will manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects in the application. What is the meaning of managing the object and collaborating the object. Managing means creating the objects for the application. How many objects should be created? Do we need to create one object for one class? Do we need to create multiple objects for one class? How many objects should be created for one class? That will be managed by IOC container. What is the meaning of collaborating the objects? What is the meaning of collaborating the objects? Injecting, dependency injection. It will inject, it will create the target class object. It will create the dependent class object. It will inject the dependent object into target object. So that is called managing and collaborating objects in the application. Can you read that once again? IOC container. Can you tell me the definition? IOC is a principle which is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects in the application. What is the duty of the IOC container? What is the duty of the IOC container? IOC container will take care of dependency injection. Where is that IOC container available? Where is that IOC container available? In the Spring core module. IOC, dependency injection are fundamental concepts of the core module. By using this IOC container and dependency injection, we can develop the classes with loosely coupling and we can manage our application easily. Okay, now this IOC container is available inside the core module. Now, how to perform dependency injection by using this IOC container? How to perform dependency injection by using IOC container? So now in my project there are so many classes are available. In the real time, 100 controller classes, okay, 50 service classes, 300 DAO classes, so many classes available in the project. So which classes IOC container should manage? Which classes IOC container should manage? Which is a dependent class? Which is a target class? I know that. Engine is dependent for the car. Car is dependent on the engine. As a programmer, I know that. If I want to drive the car, engine should be started. Car is dependent on the engine. In order to do the payment processing, credit card payment, debit card payment, Sodexo payment are the dependent classes. Payment processor is a target class. I am the developer. I know that. What is the target? What is dependent? But how IOC will know which is the target, which is the dependent? Can IOC recognize which is the target, which is dependent in your project? No. IOC don't know which is the target, which is dependent. So as a programmer, we will develop our classes with loosely coupling. As a programmer, we will develop the classes with the loosely coupling, and we need to give our classes information to IOC container. Hey IOC, I have 4 classes. 3 classes are my dependent classes. 1 class is my target class. You inject dependent 1 into target. So we need to provide that instruction to the IOC container. So to provide that instruction to the IOC container, we need to do some configuration in the project. Okay, so this is my IOC container. Assume that. So Spring people provided IOC container to manage dependency injection. Assume that this is my IOC. Here my Java classes are available. Okay, so Java classes. My Java classes are available. These are Java classes. Some classes are target classes. Some classes are dependent classes. These classes I will give as an input for the IOC container. IOC container should know which is the target and which is dependent, which classes it has to manage. So IOC container we no need to develop. IOC container provided by Spring Framework. We need to develop our Java classes. Those Java classes we will give as an input for the IOC container. Then along with the Java classes, we need to provide some configuration. We need to provide some configuration. This configuration will tell the IOC which is a target, which is the dependent, whether it should perform setter injection or whether it should perform constructor injection. Everything we are going to manage by using configuration. Based on the input we are giving, the Java classes and the configuration we are giving as the input for the IOC, it will manage, it will collaborate, and it is going to provide beans. It is going to provide Spring Beans as a output. So Spring Beans nothing but the Java classes which are managed by IOC container. Now we created car, we created engine. You no need to create the object for the engine. You no need to create the object for the car. Okay, you provide your car class, engine class as an input for the IOC, and you tell to IOC with the configuration, hey IOC, car is my. What are you doing? You came half an hour late and again you are using your mobile. Then why are you looking at the table? What is there in the table? What is there in the table? Come front. Concentrate, man. These concepts are not easy. Understanding the frameworks is not easy. The future, if you are going to become a Java developer, the future, you need to work with these frameworks only. Without framework, nobody without framework, nobody will develop a project in the company. So if you feel that I know core Java, advanced Java, with core Java, advanced Java, you will not get the job. To get the job, definitely you need to have the knowledge on the SpringBoot. To understand the SpringBoot, you should have knowledge on the Spring core module basics. Same thing, whatever I am discussing today, IOC container, dependency injection, Spring Beans, every concept will be there in the SpringBoot. We are understanding the fundamental concepts. Someone is saying, from 3 days you are discussing same topic. What is the reason? What is the reason? Foundation should be strong. The foundation should be strong. You can develop a Java class, but developing the classes with the best practices, developing the classes with loosely coupling, that is important. Tomorrow in the real time, every project will follow strategy design pattern. Every project will use IOC container. Every project will use dependency injection. Without having clarity on these concepts, you can't understand the SpringBoot. You cannot develop the project in the real time. So if I am repeating the same concept with another example, I already explained one example with the strategy design pattern last Friday. Today, why I explained one more example? What is the reason? You will get better understanding. If you develop multiple projects on the same topic, then you will get the better clarity. So that tomorrow, the concepts will be easy for you when I start the Spring or when I start the SpringBoot. Got my point? If you don't want that, for one topic, I can give one example, I can go for the next topic. So if I give only one example for one topic, who will get benefit? Student will get benefit or I will get benefit? I will get the benefit. I no need to speak much. I will not get the throat pain. My course will be completed quickly. Then one more batch I will start. Again new students will join. Again payments will come. Again I will get the money. That is a business. That is a business. I told you 4 months for SpringBoot. Outside in the market, people will complete SpringBoot in 2 months. What is the same content? Same content. What is the difference? They will teach for freshers. They will teach basics for the freshers. But I am teaching for experienced people. When you go for the company, for the job, you should be able to work with 3 years of experience on the SpringBoot. So you need to show 3 years experience on the SpringBoot. If you want to show 3 years of experience in the SpringBoot, they will screw you in the interview. They will deep dive in the interview in the SpringBoot. They will ask lot of internals in the SpringBoot. Without having these concepts clarity, you cannot crack that interview. Within 2 months also we can complete SpringBoot. Within 4 months also we can complete SpringBoot. I will tell you one example. Let's take Tollywood as an example. Puri Jagannath is there, director. Pokeri movie director, right? How many days he will take for movie shooting? Maximum 70 days to 80 days. When the movie is started, on the first day, when the movie shooting is started, he will announce movie release date also. Today I am starting the movie, exactly 70 days shooting will be there. 71st day movie will be released. From last 10 years, how many hits he got? Maximum 1 or 2. Pokeri is the last hit. After that, Ishmat Shankar is the hit. Okay. From last 10 years, he got only 2 hits. What is the reason? No quality. Within 3 months, he is completing the movie shooting. He don't have much time for the story writing. He don't have much time for the screenplay. In the rush, he is going to complete the movie. Movie will be released in 3 months. But what is the use? Now, take another example. Rajamouli. How many days he is taking for movie shooting? 3 to 4 years is taking. Any flop is there? Why? What is the difference between these two directors? Both are good directors only. What is the difference? Time. Time, quality, content. So when you want quality, when you want content, you need to spend the time. I can complete SpringBoot in 2 months also. Who will get benefit? You need to think that. Trainer will get the benefit. I no need to spend much time. I no need to give many scenarios. I will get new batch within 2 months of time. If I spend 4 months of time, you will get the benefit. You no need to join other course. Once you spend these 3 to 4 months of time for the SpringBoot, because in the industry, every project will be developed based on SpringBoot only. If you are not strong in the SpringBoot, getting the job will become difficult, and surviving in the job also will become very, very difficult. Got my point? Good. Fine. We are understanding IOC container. What is IOC container? What is IOC container? Definition, guys. Come on. IOC is a principle which is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects in the application. So IOC is mainly responsible for dependency injection in the Spring application. But if you want to work with IOC, we need to perform some configuration. What configuration is required for the IOC? I will develop the Java classes, man. What if I give only Java classes? Can IOC perform dependency injection? IOC cannot perform the dependency injection. Why IOC cannot perform the dependency injection? Why IOC cannot perform the dependency injection? IOC container don't know. IOC container don't know what is our target class and what is our dependent class. So we need to tell to IOC container what is the target, what is dependent. How we will tell that information to IOC? By writing some configuration. How to write this configuration? This configuration we can do in 2 ways. One is by using XML configuration, another one by using annotation configuration. XML configuration is outdated. Annotation configuration is trending in the market. Yeah, so XML configuration is available and annotation configuration is available. XML concept is outdated. People are not using XML configurations in the real time because annotations came into picture. People are using annotations for the configuration. So by using XML configuration or by using annotation configuration, we will give instruction to the IOC. In that configuration, what we will tell? What is our target class? What is our dependent class? We will give as an input for the IOC container. Then IOC container will manage, will collaborate our classes, our objects. It will create the object, it will inject the object, then it will provide Spring Beans. What is the meaning of Spring Bean? The Java class which is managed by IOC container. I will give a normal Java class to IOC container. Then IOC container will manage that class, will provide a Spring Bean which is ready to use. I will give car class. I will give engine class. It will create the car object. It will create the engine object. It will give you the classes ready to use. The classes which are managing by IOC container is called as a Spring Bean. What is the difference between normal Java class and Spring Bean class? What is the difference between normal Java class and Spring Bean class? Normal Java class means we need to create the object, we need to perform the dependency injection. So are we going to perform the dependency injection? If you perform the dependency injection, you need to create the objects, you need to inject the objects. It is difficult. That's why we will go for IOC container. IOC container will take care of object creation. IOC container will take care of dependency injection. So what is input for the IOC? Our classes we need to give as an input, and the configuration we need to give as an input. So what is the meaning of that configuration? Which is a target, which is a dependent, what type of dependency injection you want. Whether you want a setter injection, whether you want constructor injection, you provide that information to IOC container. Then what the IOC will do? It will manage our objects, and it will collaborate our objects, and it will provide the classes ready to use. What is the meaning of classes ready to use? They are already objects created, already dependency injection completed. You directly take the object, you call the method. You no need to create the object, you no need to manage the dependency injection. Spring will take care of that. So what is the meaning of Spring Bean? What is a Spring Bean, guys? Come on. What is a Spring Bean? First, what is Spring Bean? The Java classes which are managed by IOC, the Java classes which are managed by IOC are called as Spring Bean classes. The classes which are managed by IOC container are called as Spring Bean classes. Are you clear? So with this, what we understood as of now, we have not developed any project by using Spring. Just we understand some fundamental concepts. So the very first thing we understood, layered architecture. Very first thing we understood, layered architecture. Multiple layers will be available. Then we understood what is programming language.
Right.
Then what is technology. Then we understood
Right.
what is framework. Then we understood
वो
what
बादशाह
is
में कब
struct
बोलना तो वो
framework.
खुद करिए
Online people,
बताइए
please go on mute.
ना
Right. Struts framework we understood. Then we understood what is Hibernate framework. Struts framework we understood. Hibernate framework we understood. Then we discussed about Spring framework. Okay. Then after we discussed about Spring architecture. Spring architecture, there are several modules available in the Spring framework. Then after we understood what is tightly coupling. We understood what is tightly coupling. Then we understood what is loosely coupling. To develop the classes with tightly coupling or loosely coupling, we are going to follow strategy design pattern. We are going to follow strategy design pattern. Then we developed two applications using strategy design pattern. Two applications using strategy design pattern. Then we understood dependency injection. Then we understood dependency injection. In the dependency injection, we have constructor injection and setter injection. So today we started IOC introduction. We started IOC introduction. These are the topics we learned so far. Now, tomorrow we are going to develop our first example by using IOC container with the help of Spring framework. So far, we discussed about these 14 topics, right? So the class started on Friday, right? Last week, right? I think one week classes are done. The backup videos, whatever the classes that happened, anybody who missed those classes, those videos are already uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you go to our YouTube channel playlist, here 36 SBMS, whatever the classes happened, all those videos I have uploaded into YouTube. So anybody who missed previous classes, they can go through these videos. Class notes I have uploaded to our portal. Now also I'm going to upload the latest notes into portal. Okay, good. So the people who are attending the classes, they can download the class from notes from our website, Spring Introduction Notes. Let me do that. Yes, I have updated notes. Guys, can you check the notes is updated or not? Yeah. So till today, whatever the notes is available, I have updated that notes here. Good. So this is what we learned so far in our classes. Layered architecture. What is programming language? What is the technology? What is framework? What is the struts? What is the Hibernate? What is the Spring? Spring architecture, Spring modules, tightly coupling versus loosely coupling. What is the problem with the tightly coupling? Then how to develop the classes with loosely coupling. For that, we are going to use strategy design pattern. The next one, we developed two projects, car project and payment project, by using strategy design pattern. Then we discussed what is a dependency injection, what is a setter injection and a constructor injection. Then we started our discussion related to IOC container. Theoretically, we understood what is IOC. Can you tell me what is the definition of the IOC? IOC is a principle which is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects. We need to provide our Java classes and configuration as an input for the IOC. IOC will perform the dependency injection. IOC will provide the Spring Beans. What is the meaning of Spring Beans? The classes which are managed by IOC container. That means for which class object will be created by the IOC, for which class dependency injection will performed by IOC, those classes are called as Spring Bean classes. We need to provide Java classes and configuration as an input for the IOC. Then it will provide Spring Beans which are ready to use. What is the meaning of that configuration? What will be there in the configuration? Which is a target class, which is a dependent class, what type of dependency injection it has to perform, that information will be available in the configuration. How many ways we can do that configuration? We can do that configuration by using XML or by using annotations. Which one is recommended? Annotations is recommended. With XML, I will show you one or two examples for understanding purpose. The remaining complete course we are going to learn with the annotations only. Are you clear? Good. Any questions from offline students? Tomorrow, we are going to develop our first application by using Spring Framework with the help of IOC container. So the projects I'm going to develop by using Maven. So before coming to tomorrow's class, I want you people to complete Maven setup. Okay. So Apache Maven setup I have explained. So within 8 minutes, I explained how to complete Maven setup in the Windows machine. Maven, we are going to use as a build tool, because if I want to work with the Spring framework, I need to download the Spring jar files. Instead of we are downloading the jars manually, I will take the help of Maven to download the jar files. Okay. To download the jars by using Maven, you need to set up Maven in your system. How to do the Maven setup in your system? I have prepared a 8 minutes video. If you go through that video, then you can understand how to set up Maven. So before coming to tomorrow's session, everybody should be able to complete Maven setup. Okay, guys. Now, I will share this link in our WhatsApp group for the Maven setup. Please complete that, because from tomorrow, we will develop our applications by using Maven. Are you getting my point? Good. So online students, this is the video. Please go through this video and set up the Maven. WhatsApp group link. Good. Yeah. Guys, this course is not just for freshers, even for experienced people. After this course is completed, you can say that you have 3 years of experience in the SpringBoot. At that level, we are going to learn. It's not just for freshers, guys. So this course is, I'm keeping 3+ years experienced people in the mind, and I'm going to deliver the subject. Okay. Initially, the classes may go little slow because fundamental concepts you have to understand. Once you got the clarity on the IOC container and dependency injection, then we can speed up the course. Good. Fine. I have given WhatsApp group link in the chat box. Anybody who is not part of that, please join. And the task for tomorrow, practice those 2 applications by using strategy design pattern, car application, payment application. Tomorrow, same applications we are going to develop by using Spring framework with the help of IOC container. To develop the first application by using Spring, I will use Maven. So please complete Maven setup in your system. Thank you guys. Good. We'll meet tomorrow at same time. Akshay, how to decide which is target, which is dependent? We will understand that, sir. Tomorrow I will tell you that. Yeah, offline students, we are done for today. We'll meet tomorrow. From tomorrow, class will start at sharp 7:30. You need to be in the classroom by 7:25. Got my point? Good.